My homeboy hit me up like, yo man, you know they're sampling your drums right off your Instagram, right? I was like, get out of here, man. They don't sample drums off Instagram. He's like, yo, check the bookmarks on the clips where you're playing by yourself. I was like, oh, guess it's time to make another break record. Break Bonanza is my fourth drum break record. How does it differ from the other ones? Well, the first one was Lunch Breaks in 2014. That one there was a candor to it. I had only been playing drums for about 2 years, so there was this rawness to it, both from a playing perspective and from the recording. You know, I was a hip hop producer playing drums, so obviously hip hop producers dug it, but there was a lot I had to learn as far as drumming and recording. Then there was Backyard Breaks a year later. That one was tighter all around, but I still had to get out of this basement and start playing drums out in the world. I was still just essentially a breakbeat drummer, and I had to get more experience. So in 2016, I co-founded a funk band called the Do-Rights with my partner Pablo Martin, and I just started getting out there and playing and learning new ideas and stuff. I also joined 2 other bands, and I also just started going out playing locally, man, playing with other musicians and just picking up whatever I could. I really knew that I had to get on that stage and start learning how to play with other people. And once I started playing live, that really opened things up for me. I was always known as this quote-unquote jack of all trades, and then one day I just said, you know what? That's a pretty useless approach in the long term. You know, like, I was just doing too many things. I was trying to do too much, and I wound up spreading myself really thin over the years. Time is my most valuable asset at this point. I mean, somebody would ask me for like a beat or a verse or something, and my passion for that was just gone. And that's kind of hard to explain to somebody who's not an artist or a musician, but you can't really fake passion, because after a while it'll show up in your work, and people can tell when you're faking the funk. So when you start mailing it in, it's obvious, and by 2016, that's exactly what I was doing. Eventually got fired on my day off from my DJ residency, and instead of trying to find a new DJ residency, I actually said, you know what? No, that's exactly what needed to happen to you, because you're trying to do too much. So whatever I wasn't doing at 110% on a daily basis, I cut it loose. Time, man, time is everything. There's only so many hours in a day. So I zeroed in hard on drumming and composing, and the next time I made a break record, the improvement was like tenfold. Touring and rehearsing regularly with Ben Pirani really helped me figure out what I needed to work on. When you're on stage like that every night, you have no choice. You gotta tighten up out there. I lost a ton of money at first, and I also lost a lot of fans. I used to get DMs like, yo, Zone, what the hell are you doing? It bugged a lot of people out because I was in my early 40s, paying dues like someone in their early 20s, but there's really no shortcuts, man. You gotta get out there and do it. I needed to put that time in, and by the time I cut my next break record, which was Gorilla Drums, you could hear the work starting to pay off. I was trying a lot of really syncopated grooves, odd meter, really trying to challenge the producer. You kind of had to be somewhat of a chop nerd to really mess with Gorilla Drums. You know, it mostly worked, some of it didn't, but people like basic funky grooves, and I figured that out after that one. But I think what really helped me get the proper balance for Break Bonanza was all the work for hire I've been doing in studio drumming over the last 2 or 3 years. I played on a handful of Danger Mouse productions, you know, Broken Bells, Karen O, Michael Kiwanuka. My drums ended up on some Marco Polo stuff, some Alchemist stuff. I did some stuff for DJ Newmark, Pharoah Monch. I actually ended up playing on 2 new songs from Manzel. And anybody who knows Manzel knows Midnight Theme, Space Funk, like those are breakbeat classics. The original drummer for the band, Steve Garner, passed away. So to play on new Manziel tunes was kind of daunting because those are some really big shoes to fill, but that was a milestone for me. The Do-Rights did most of the music for Bobbito's Rock Rubber 45's film, including the theme song, which featured Eddie Palmieri and Robert Glasper. I was nervous as hell playing on that one because those guys are some heavyweights. But all these collaborations were knowing when to play what. And I think that's something I didn't know how to do when I made the earlier break records. I did some work for Lord Finesse recently. I'm a longtime Lord Finesse fan, but man, does he know his stuff, like inside and out. So just having my playing under a microscope and taking criticism from one of my heroes, that was big, man. Like, Finesse is very sensitive to things like pocket and the sound of drums, you know, recording-wise. So working with Lord Finesse alone just made me better at everything. My Red Bull Music Academy column, Give the Drummer Some, that was huge. I was privileged to sit down and interview some really great, legendary drummers, man. I was able to learn so much from these cats. These are the guys who've been sampled all these years. These are the guys who played on all these hit records, and to be able to get that information directly from them, I was able to put a lot of that to use on Break Bonanza. This is the first time I've applied a work-for-hire mindset to my own sound. I called up a lot of producers like, what do y'all want? A lot of grooves that are really good for chopping, a wide variation of tunings and micings, one-shots. I finally realized I'm not making these break records for myself. There's a whole generation of new producers out there. And I kind of like the challenge of taking my own personal taste out of it and playing to their demands. I love that challenge. After sampling for so many years, to be sampled to me is like super dope. You know, if someone makes a big hit off of my drums, obviously, hopefully they do the right thing, give me some publishing so I can get more work, get more money, and keep the operation going, you know, give me some credit. But I dig it, man. I love going on Instagram and seeing I've been tagged, someone made a beat using my drums. 8 years in, I got a long way to go as far as drumming, but, you know, I'm happy with the way these are turning out and, you know, hopefully keep it going and hopefully people dig it. Get out there and make me some hits, man.